Before we get going with the episode, I want to give you guys a quick heads up about our PowerTech summer programs. This year, we're going to do something a little bit differently, rolling out a collaboration with BioSteel Sports Academy and PowerTech, obviously all powered by BioSteel. These camps are going to be hosted at the Academy facilities at Central Park Athletics in Windsor, Ontario, and you're going to be in the same environment that Coach Andy and I are training athletes all year round. Each camp is going to run Monday to Thursday and have all of the elements that we run through with our academy. You're going to have on-ice sessions, off-ice sessions, video and mental performance, and then obviously a game between the teams. We're keeping it tight with just 2 teams per age group, so that's going to be 34 players total, 9 forwards, 60, and 2 goalies. And here's the dates. We're going to have the 2007 to 11 girls elite program running July 21st to 24th, the 2011-2012 boys running July 28th to 31st, and then the 2008 to 2010 boys running August 4th to August 7th. This is going to be by application only, so visit powertechhockey.ca/contact to send in your application. All we need is the player's name, date of birth, and their 2024-25 team, plus any other information that you think would be useful for us to know. We're putting our best into these camps and keeping it highly competitive. So again, if you want to apply, head to powertechhockey.ca/contact, and we'll see you guys there. How are you?
I'm good. You're sick? I'm good.
I feel like ass, dude.
No, I went to bed the other night. 2 hours before I went to bed, had a really sore throat. Couldn't breathe. Didn't sleep for 2-3 hours, and then I was good the next day. So I don't know.
It was one of those where it started coming on in the afternoon, like I could around like 3:30. I was like,
yeah, you're a bag of shit today.
Yeah, I suck. So,
nothing worse.
yeah, which is annoying because we got the coach site thing, and then I got Matterhorn thing the next week. So I'm hoping it flushes out by then. Like, travel bags the shit out of you, dude. I was in New York the week before.
Yeah.
Like the travel, not sleeping in your own bed, like. Yeah. Out of rhythm, like I can't, oh man, it's such a grind. But that's not your style. We know that.
No, but when we do the winter time, when just go watch hockey games, like we're talking 3 hour,
right.
3, 2, still same thing. It's just like, can I get home, have a normal meal,
so
sleep in my own bed.
My own bed, man. Like, I know everyone thinks their bed is great. I have the best bed. You know, everyone says that.
Mine's pretty good.
Exactly. Right, exactly. That's the only thing in my house that I spent really good money on: a mattress and a couch. So I have a really good couch and I have a really good mattress. Everything else is like meh. Those are the only 2 things I really like made sure I want this to be like really, really good. And the bed's awesome.
Fair enough.
Blackout curtains.
Yeah, good.
I'm such a high maintenance sleeper, man. You should see how crazy it is. I got a bunch of pillows.
So you go to a hotel. It's not that.
No, it's not that. It's hard to recreate. So I would sleep with a mask, earplugs, the whole deal.
Sexy, yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Look good. Yeah. It's like a project to go to sleep. But so I'm gonna keep it quick today for sure. But I had a conversation 2 days ago. So we're in the thick of all of our recruiting stuff for the U18s. Did I start that? I always start.
Yeah, no problem.
The Reds going? Great. You sore?
Back tightened up for a second. It's okay. I'm good.
Nice.
I'm good.
So I was talking to a parent the other day. We're in the middle of all of our recruiting stuff, and just asking general advice about everything. And then we started kind of talking about training in the off season and all that stuff, which is one of my favorite things to talk about. And like, I'm decreasingly talking about it just because I feel like people don't really listen. So kind of to your point, you always say this, like you can say things a million times, but people don't really listen. So unless someone asks, I don't really just go out sharing a whole bunch about it because you're not going to listen to me. So, but this family was asking, and I was talking about, you got to make sure when you're training, you're working hard enough, right? You have to make sure you're working hard enough.
You're saying that?
I'm saying that to them.
Okay.
Like if you're not working hard enough, then you're not going to get progress. Like you should see in the mirror, you should see changes. Because this is a kid that is right in the thick of the hormone block, and like he should be seeing some gains, like for sure. So after like several months, if you're not noticing a difference, that's an indicator of like you're not training hard enough, right? And so I finished my spiel about it, and the dad asked a really good question. He was just like, so what does that mean? Like, what are you talking about when you're saying like work hard enough? Like, does that mean, you guys are in the gym 4 times a week? Should he go to the gym? Should we go to the gym more? Like what are our clues that it's hard enough? And I was like, yeah, that's a really good question, because I take for granted sometimes that people know what I'm talking about when I say that.
Yeah, of course.
And there's a general definition of working hard that I think a lot of people follow, and that would be how tired am I, how much of a bagger is it, and all of that. So I want to I'm going to get into what I ended up telling him, but I want to like throw it to you first and just get your thoughts on that concept of just the kids getting into like actually working hard enough and what it means. And then I'll kind of go into how I've like finished up the conversation. I'm assuming it'll be kind of aligned, but I want you to answer first before I say my answer. So,
Okay, so working hard.
Yeah, what does
So
that mean?
what is working hard? On the ice and off the ice, both.
Whichever. Yeah, we were talking about the context of the gym, and I think it's a little easier to explain, but maybe not, right? So, like, what does it actually mean?
I think you do both. So, like, it was funny today. Mac was doing most of the session today, and he does just a fantastic job, blending skill with game situation stuff, and so it was excellent. And the reps are decent, but like one of the things is what is working hard. So when Mac or me or whoever in the gym, whatever you're explaining a drill, part of the hard work is actually absorbing what the coach is saying. That's actually hard work. So you'll see a lot of the kids they don't take the time to listen. And then the drill starts. It's like, what are we doing again? So number one, being attentive, that is hard work. But that just talks about being dialed in, right? So if you're dialed in and you care, you're probably going to work harder. So that's number one. Number two is like, okay, I'll just go to on the ice right now. So when we're doing these drills, I talk to them in between drill sets because I like to observe, like, especially when Mac does something, because he gets to do his stuff. Like, and this is, I'm working hard as a coach. I could sit there and say, okay, Mac's doing it, but I'll take it off. Like now I got to work hard as a coach and be valuable to the kids as well. So what my observation was and stuff is like, as they're doing sets, it's like, remember all the fundamentals that we've worked on so far. It's like, so if we're doing a drill, because I didn't specifically say don't dust the puck when you're shooting, that should be an automatic. But like if you're not dialed in and if you're not zoned into making yourself better all the time, then you take that for granted. You just do your normal old habits, right? So for me, it was I called them in when we were changing the drills and stuff, and I said, okay, so these drills are, you have a set, you got some patterns, you got some sequences here that we're doing, which are great, but now it's time for you to dial in exactly what you may need to make this drill better for you. For example, one of the sequences is like there was a bunch of passing and shooting, like game situation oriented. So just me telling you that, passing and shooting. So number one, if you're the passer, are your passes on the tape? Are you making the player better, or are you just throwing a pass out there? There's a difference, right? So that doesn't necessarily mean that your effort is like to breath. All that means is a dialed in more focus. That's hard work, right? To make yourself get better, and there's a purpose to it at the end of it. If you're the shooter, are you dusting it off? Are you shooting just to shoot? Are you working on a specific shot, or are you adjusting, or are you just getting it off? So those are intentions, right? Are you stick handling and making yourself readable? Like those are things. And when you're going for a screen, like because that was part of the sequence in front of the net, are you going there to stand in front of the net to finish the drill, or are you going there to, okay, when I screen, I need my stick in whatever position, I need to take the goalie's eyes away? Like those are intentions that will make you work hard and smart. So that's what I would say on the ice. So because a lot of people when they go and watch a skate or a workout, it's like how hard you're sweating and you're bagged and you're out of shape and you're drooling, and that's hard work, but it might be dumb work as well. But it might not be. It could be really smart. So that's that. So when I look at the gym, let's go with a youth player. So I just, it's so funny you said that because I wrote down today, I'm so impressed because I got to work out early with some of the kids, and it seems like, not seems, it is, it's the same 3 to 5 kids, like in 75 students that we have. I would say maybe a little bit more than 5, but like that I see in the younger groups, that always takes them a half an hour longer to get their workout done. Is it because they're lazy, or is it because they're pissing around? No, they're actually doing the reps right to the end, and then they clean up, and they're conscientious of how hard they're working. So the point I'm making to that is that there is a consistency, whether the workout is like for 14-year-olds. Excuse me, man. whether the workout is designed by you or it's their own workout, what they did is they're being consistent and they complete their mission that they set out for that day. So whether they're doing too much or too little, that's to me is hard work. They're finishing it and they're being consistent. So that would be like an overall thing. The next part would be like when a parent asks that question, which is a great question, because you can look at someone, if you walk into a gym and you watch 20 minutes and you see them lift for, let's say, 3 minutes, and they're 17 minutes, they're sitting on a bench and they're recuperating, you could look at that and say they're not working hard. But that depends on what phase that you're in. So if you're working on a real strength phase, that rest period is actually necessary because you need to be fresh. So if you're working hard within those reps and you're pushing, like you said, progressively overloading and pushing to your, if the rep range is 3 to 5, just 1 second, man. Sorry.
Are you sick or me?
I got something in my throat. If the rep range is 3 to 5 and you do 3 but you're doing a weight that you stop at 3 because you're doing a weight, trying to put the words in right. You get 3 reps in, but the way you're pushing, you could actually get 10. That's not working hard. When you're trying to do the 3 to 5 rep max, you need to be lifting that weight that is pushing 3 to 5. So it's within that program, right? If you're doing metabolic workout, then your rest is like that. Now you're back and you better be going. So like you're pushing yourself. Like let's say we're doing 30-second intervals and with a 20-second rest or a 10-second rest, whatever it is. The work is the work. The rest is the rest. So it'll depend definitely on the program that you're in at a certain time, like whatever period that you're in, and then it'll work on when you're working. Are you working? Are you following the prescription? So, and then you just had a conversation with one of our students yesterday because he's so strong right now. It's like, okay, you could actually not work this hard if your body, or you feel like you don't want to because you are strong enough. Now you can maybe work at something else. So, and that's an intelligent approach to it. So, because you don't need to, George St. Pierre talked about that in his book, GSP, The Way of the Fight. He goes, you only need to be so strong. So like if you can squat 600 pounds, good. But when he was in the ring, when someone's got him in an awkward position, that 600 pounds doesn't mean diddly shit because there's other parts of strength that you need, right? Your mobility and your smaller muscles. So the same thing with hockey. If you're like super strong, that's good. That's awesome. But are you super strong and are you fast? Are you super strong? Are you mobile? Are you super strong? Are you agile?
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
So yeah. So anyways, long answer or is that
No,
okay?
no, that's great.
Okay.
Because
So there's a lot we can talk about with that, but that's a really good question from a parent. So the last thing I'll say about that is this is why, when you're young, I want to say this the right way. When you're younger, almost anything will work. So if you don't have money, you don't know what you're doing, because I had, people that have worked with us and say, hey, can you put us on a program eating? And I'm going on a vacation. So okay, I need 4 weeks to get in shape. It's okay. First of all, you're not,
Yeah.
or maybe you will, but you'll starve yourself and you won't work this hard. But if you keep doing this all the time, but you don't need a program. If you're like, in this case, he was like a 30-year-old guy, wants to get in shape to go on a vacation in a month. Just go run a whole bunch, and then it doesn't matter what workouts you do. You're just trying to kill some calories and lose a little bit of weight and eat healthier. When you're an athlete, when you're a younger kid, if you did push-ups and squats and run a hill and all that stuff, you're gonna get in great shape. When it comes to lifting some weights and stuff, like you can kind of do some, like it's not gonna hurt you. You're gonna get results. But if you want to have an intelligent approach to it, then you go to an actual trainer and have a conversation, see if you like the matchup, and it's got to make sense to you. Like, so for example, I trust my son with you, and I'll say this a million times. He loves you, right?
Yeah.
Don't give me not crying.
I love him too.
Yeah. But he loves you. He trusts you. He loves you. And what he's done, he goes, I don't want to change a thing because I was saying like let's work on your speed and all that stuff. He goes, yeah. He goes, but I'm not going to change a thing because it's working. And Eric was always right. And I know the time and effort that you put into it, and the research and the detail and all that kind of stuff. And it's 100% perfect.
Yeah. For him.
Yeah, but yeah, for him. But if if his name was George and his last name was Smith, you would make it perfect for him because you would take the
Right.
time.
The only reason I say that is because it requires that like level of attention and detail and care and all that stuff to make sure it actually is hitting the stuff that he needs, right?
Yeah. So I just think it's fantastic that like, so if you listen to your coach, but the thing is that it has to make sense. Like, because there's okay, so for example, for me, if you told me with my kid, and I know nothing about hockey, but well, let's say I do, but I don't have my business and I don't have a gym. If I went to a trainer and said, yeah, like you don't lift, you can't do any of the weights until this, but we'll only work with bands, and you don't really need this, and it's kind of weird. I'd say, okay, I don't trust you. It has to make sense. Like for me, and I think this makes sense. And as a hockey player, you need to have some speed. You need to be strong enough. So I don't think getting strong will be a bad thing, and gaining speed. So like the workout to me has to mimic that, and then you can educate me on things that maybe I don't really understand. Right. So there's a basic. It should make sense, and if it seems weird, if it seems like I'm not sure about that, then go check someone else and find out what makes the most sense to you.
Yeah, and it's a hard thing to do because you have to be able.
Last thing, sorry, and then I'm going to let you go. Honestly,
go.
And then one of the most important things to do is talk to people that are in the game. I talked to the kids last week about, because my kid's here every day, and he's a strapping young man. He's a very successful hockey player, and I asked him. I said, how many of you here out of the 70 guys we have asked this guy a question about? You see him in the gym every day, and you watch, but you don't ask, why do you do that? How do you do that? How did you get to that? How did you do it when I was my age? I don't feel good about this. Or on the ice, ask questions. And there was one kid, and Charlie said knew fast. Said out of 70 kids. So my other suggestion would be, as a parent, because I do this still with my son. We'll talk to like Dalton Proud, or we'll talk to a couple of people, say like, here's what we're thinking. What do you think? 100%, or yeah, but like Dalton said that years ago, exactly what you said. When he was 14, he goes, he's a machine. He's an absolute unit. He goes, so after his first year of junior, he goes, I would honestly touch the heavy weights, and I'd spend more time on speed.
Well, and
he was right.
Well, like being able to let go too, like with you guys, when we talked about the track stuff, I was like, that's not my wheelhouse, man. You need to go get somebody else to do that. I'm not selfishly trying to, keep them all to myself. I'm like, go do your boxing, go see the track. You should actually see me less and go see them more. Right?
Yeah.
So because that is actually what's appropriate for you. Right. And so it's hard to find people that actually are willing to do that as a trainer too, which is what makes it tricky, because if you don't know how to gauge that or how to judge those different opinions, then it can be challenging, but
the last thing, because we're in with something here, because you just reminded me of other things. I've had a couple of people reach out and said, we're going to stick with Charlie this summer, because I go, okay, you know what he does, right? Oh yeah. It doesn't happen, or when it does, like for example, when Charlie started boxing like 5 years ago, he went, and then there was 5 guys that said, yeah, I want to do it. 5, 6 guys that went to do it. They went twice, and they've never been back.
That was the same.
That's 5 years ago. So you're talking, you get guys that start doing sprints or track coaches and stuff. It's like they start fading away. So the guys that said, yeah, we're going to work out, we just want to stick. I said, call them. We're not going to call you. Yeah. He's already got what you want. Yeah. You call him. He's happy to help. There's no phone call. They're on their own thing. So like, that's the thing is if you're willing to work, there's success leaves clues, and there's all kinds of people out there to help you, but you have to be willing to work. And my and yours, and I would say that's one of the biggest things. As Chris Draper did a podcast with us a while ago, and Mike Weber did a podcast a while ago, and it always comes down to people think that they're working hard, and until they get around people that actually do work hard, and getting to that's what the biggest thing is getting to the NHL is the hardest thing you're going to ever do, besides the fact that staying there is even harder. And what separates people from getting there and staying there is the work that you actually have to put in on a daily basis. So the sooner that you understand dialing in, and we still, last thing,
I'm not
we tweak Charlie's, we had a talk the other day about, I forget how it came up, but I said, I think we're one area that you can be better at. Oh, charting out the summer, because we can kind of wing. He's going to do the work, but I said, if you want more freedom in your life, if you just please and you do it to a certain degree, chart down your whole summer. Like I know it's a pain in the ass. I'm the
schedule, man.
I hate it, but it organizes your life. So if you look at your schedule and you have these weekends, which he knows in his head, but I said write it down and then look at where you get to space things in, because now instead of being real busy, maybe you can get everything done by 1:00 every day, and then you can actually enjoy a little bit of your life. Or you could add a extra yoga, extra Pilates, an extra hill run, things that aren't like totally taxing that are good for you, or reading a book, or hanging out with your girlfriend, whatever it is, right?
That's discipline equals freedom, man.
Yeah.
Jocko.
Okay, I'm done.
Yeah. Well, all of that stuff's great. There's so many different elements to it. And that's why I want people to try to get out of the mindset. My purpose of having this podcast was get out of the mindset of hard work equals out of breath and sweaty. It can mean that, but it also means a lot of other things. And so that's what I was saying. The only way I could answer the question was by giving examples. If I had to boil it down to a sentence or something, it would be, the way to know if you're working hard, are you putting the maximum amount of resources you can to the purpose of the task you're doing? That is what hard work means. So whatever the purpose is of the task that you're supposed to do, are you putting everything that you possibly can into doing that? That is what hard work means. And that can apply to anything. It's very generic, right? So if you're doing a strength workout, it's being disciplined enough to make sure that you're pushing the weight to the required rep range and not able to do any more, taking the amount of rest that you need before you start again. That was one example that I gave. Another one was doing sprints. It's like, if you're working on sprints, you better make sure that the sprint part is as hard as you absolutely can go, and the rest part is appropriate. Right? So you're not rushing through it. You're tending to what the purpose of the task is, or the movement, or the exercise, or whatever, however you want to say it. So that can go to sleep, making sure you're getting to sleep on time. That's hard work. And you put it the best, is all of it comes down to your ability to focus on what the actual intention is. So we talk about intention quite a lot, and that is the main thing behind everything. So if you're working hard does not mean the maximum amount of volume in everything all the time. So I had another kid, like grade school kid, doesn't know any different. He's in grade 7. He came up and he's like, hey, so are we going to do any like circuits? I'm like, yeah, probably like later in the summer we would do some circuits. It's like, well, why aren't we doing them right now? Or why didn't why didn't we do any like during the season? I'm like, well, you tell me, what's the point of a circuit? Like, what are you trying to do with a circuit? He's like, well, it's a bagger. I'm like, yeah, it is a bagger. Like, so how many other baggers do you get during the week? He's like, well, what do you mean? How many times are you on the ice? Right? Like, I remember most of my practices being a bagger, like pretty good, right? Unless I was higher level and doing like a special teams practice or something. Sometimes that was not as, or a systems specific practice. Sometimes those weren't a bagger, but for sure 3 of my 4 practices a week were a bagger. Then you have your games; those are always a bagger. So I'm like, you're getting somewhere between 7 and, if you have a tournament, 14 baggers in a week. Like, does it make sense for me to give you another bagger? And he was still like you could see he was like trying to puzzle it out. Like, he still didn't fully believe me, but he's trying to like figure it out if that actually makes sense, you know? And when you're young, to your point, like you said at the start ish, there's a lot you can get away with the younger that you are. So if you go to whatever,
you just become an athlete. Yeah,
right. Like
athletic,
if you and you
learning
go to
push yourself,
and
learning what strength is, getting a bar path, right?
Yeah, most workouts that you do are going to be combinations of movements, as they should be, because you're learning like movement literacy, and the workouts will look like sweaty, and because they're easy to put together, and that's appropriate. It's not that it's not appropriate to do that, but you have to be able to graduate to higher level thinking on it as you get older, and it becomes more appropriate. So even the guys that are the 2010s, they're going into their draft year next year, U16. A lot of them are still going to be very like foundational things, like basics. Like, it doesn't have to be super complex. I'm not going to tell any of them to stop getting stronger now, like I did for Charlie, because Charlie's strong enough now. Like, he's over the threshold. So he can put more resources into other things. And like you talk about skill buckets on the ice, right? You got to fill these skill buckets. Off ice is the same thing. Sleep is the same thing. Recovery is the same thing. You only have so many resources. You only have so much time. So how are you going to decide what to put in what bucket? If you're extremely strong already, should you put more and more and more into that? You should probably do some to keep it up and not lose it. But should that be like your primary focus is I really need to get strong? If you're already super, super fast, it's like, okay, is that something that you should focus on? Like we got one of the kids here. He's one of the fastest kids I've ever seen. It's crazy. Nobody can keep up with him. So when he's off the ice, does he need to keep hammering on speed work, in whatever form that is, whether it's plyos or ladders or whatever? He should do some, but his skew should be, I need to get bigger and stronger. Like I already have a lot in this bucket, So as he gets a little bit older, assuming that speed stays with him, which it probably will to a degree, then he's going to start to specify away from that if he chooses to do the hard work of staying focused on what the purpose is that he should be focused on.
Yeah.
Right.
So the thing is, like, you made a lot of good points there. So in the gym, let's say, when you said about circuits and sweating and stuff, the one thing that I think the kids like about that is because they feel. It's like doing a hockey practice. If you're going, you feel like you're doing something really great. Whereas if you take gym example would be whatever the rest ratio is 1-4. So you work for a minute and you work heavy, and then a 4-minute rest. Well, it feels like you're not working, and then especially a younger brain or an unfocused brain will say, "Well, this isn't really doing it for me." But that's not understanding, right? That's where you want to get them to. But on the ice, it's the same thing. If you bag them, you think you're doing well, or we could do a focused, let's say, shooting, and it's like real focus where you're not getting bagged, but it's quality reps that maybe you have to rest, or thinking, like doing a pattern or whatever where you're thinking and you have to execute properly. It's like, you can't just do it fast. Working hard doesn't help you right now. So using that fast guy that's at our school, right? And that's where I'll use Jet Luchenko because he reminds me of the same type of skating, right? That extreme speed. Well, when you're a youth hockey player and you're really, really fast, probably a lot of your goals are going to come from breakaways because the separation is huge, right? When you're like Jet Luchenko being in Bantam and Midget, I can imagine that he was just like, holy shit, this guy's like, can't keep up with him until he gets to junior, and then he's just pretty fast. Got good wheels. So fortunately for Jet, he has a brain and he could slow things down, and he could, he creates deception, and he can slow down and speed up. And you got elements to being fast that when he uses his speed, it's really good. And when he slows it down, he's got a brain to think and create plays. Whereas some people that are just fast, they've used only fast as their weapon. And then when that weapon is eliminated, like let's say angles or as you get older, people kind of match that speed. Now you're not scoring goals on breakaways. Okay, now do you have a good shot? Can you create plays, or you just score goals on breakaways, or because you're faster than everybody? And everything catches up, right?
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I was talking to an agent about that one kid in particular, and he was saying that same thing of just like you want to make sure that the game translates up, right? And that's something that we do great, man. Like that's all we talk about, man, all the time. Is like we know that people come in here with us as a stepping stone. This isn't like the final destination, and making sure we're preparing them to take that step and trying to brainwash them about that hard work piece, which is really challenging for kids, but more so for parents, even coaches. Like when you're talking about this kind of stuff, the amount of coaches I talk to that know nothing about off ice and what's actually like the purpose of things off the ice from a nutrition standpoint and all that, but think they do. It's extremely frustrating because you to your point, we give people the advice of go ask around and get opinions, and then you go ask somebody who's your coach on the ice. He's the head coach behind the bench maybe, and you think that's a guy I should ask, which it is that's a fine choice of somebody to ask. But how do you know if they know or not, right? So if they tell you, yeah, you shouldn't be lifting weights, man, like that's not something you should be doing. Like you don't know what you're talking about, right? So that's where it's important to try to educate yourself the best that you can, because you're as the individuals, whether it's the parents, the players, whatever, you're the one that is going to have to make the choice. And I was talking to another parent yesterday on the phone, went through this whole spiel, and at the end she was like, so if you asking me, like, if you take your coaching hat off and you just look at the decision we're going to decide to make as a family, do you think it's the right decision? That's what she's asked me, right?
Asked you?
Yeah. And so I said, you can't, what does the right decision mean? Like, how do you know until you get what the outcome is, right? You're going to think your decision was right if you get the outcome. You're going to think your decision was wrong if you don't get the outcome, right? So all you can do is try to educate yourself best you can and make the best decision you can with the information that you have, and then if you do that, then you can look back one day and not regret the decisions you made. Because I probably have said this 100 times on the podcast, is I look back on my career playing, at least, and I think, yeah, I could have done that different and that different and that different. But I vividly remember making those choices, and I did all of the things I should have done. I weighed my options. I discussed everything. I got opinions from everybody. I gathered as much information as I could and thought I made the right choice. I learned something else later that made me think, that maybe that wasn't the right choice anymore. I can't be upset about that, So when it comes to figuring out all this stuff and deciding what to do and how to do it, that I would just try to keep that kind of definition in mind, is understand what the purpose is of what you're trying to do, number one. And then number two, make sure that you're putting the maximum amount of resources to that purpose whenever you do it. So if you're a really strong kid and you're doing a strength workout, make sure that you're maximally focused on how to do that strength workout. If you're going to go to the speed workout, make sure you're maximally focused about how you're doing your speed workout, and that is what hard work means. You can take that into nutrition. You can take that into your skill work on the ice. You can take that into any other domain you want to talk about. It takes hard work to actually stick to what you're supposed to do, and part of that is understanding what you're supposed to do, which is a challenge in itself, right? So
yeah, no, 100%. One of the things I was just, as you were talking about this, and this will go, it's funny. Okay. So I think I've said this before, but one of the pros, of, that when people say that kids that play college hockey, because they're older, obviously, but one of the attractions that make college hockey attractive is that, they get to go in the gym and they really get dialed in on their workouts, right? And they play less and they practice once a day roughly, but they get in the gym and that's where their body really changes. And when someone asks about this program, it's almost like a mini version of college. So like when kids come here, like this is what I would say to parents, like here, or I'm talking about an academy where you can take advantage of all this stuff. Like your gym time is no joke. Your fitness is no joke. So if the kids that come in here and actually, but it's going to be the same everywhere, kids are going to work or they're not. But if you actually treated this like it was your college, which they should, their workouts would be, you'd see incredible results from the gym, obviously on the ice and stuff like that. But like, so if someone's asked, is it a good program or should they do it? I'm not saying ours, I'm saying an academy. I mean, like you could make a case that academies are too expensive, they're stupid, whatever, it's ruining whatever, because I would have made that a long time ago. But the more I've been around running all this stuff together with our group, it's like the guys that want this to be the greatest thing in their life, they make it the greatest thing in their life. Like there's so many advantages. And the guys that just come and, hope there's a magic pill, well, there is none.
Yeah,
sure. That's life, right?
Yeah, right on. I think unless you have anything else, I'm probably going to cut it there because we've been yapping for a while.
I'm good.
So. Good. Yeah, I'm going to shut her down. I think I said everything I was saying. So, all right, cut her there. See you next week.